Hello everyone. Hey, today I'm going to share with you a video I shot the other day with Diana. Diana is a Airbnb specialist. She started off investing in rental properties and then saw the value of Airbnb properties and the type of income that it can generate. So her and I spend about 30, maybe 45 minutes going over her journey, how it's been very profitable for her. She explains a lot about the process and how to look for the right properties to invest in. And she's actually became an Airbnb specialist. So she's somebody that can help you manage and invest in Airbnb properties. So it's a very informative video. It's coming to you right now. But real quick before that, if you like this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit the like button as well. And that way you can keep up on future episodes. All right, here it comes. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome to my channel. Hi, Diana.
Hi,
How are you?
good. Thank you for having me, Tom.
Good, good. Hey, so audience, everybody out there, this is Diana. She specializes in Airbnbs. You have a certification and all that great stuff. Diane, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been doing it and what kind of certifications.
So I actually just got started in real estate investing as a whole a year and a half ago.
Okay.
I started with long-term rentals in Jacksonville, Florida. That was a year and a half ago. Since then, my husband and I now have 5 properties.
Wow.
And really what helped us was jumping into Airbnb. We got to see more of that cash flow. So much that my husband retired his corporate job after 17 years. So that was amazing. And that all had to do with short-term rentals, right? You get to see a lot more cash flow than you do with those long-term investments. A little more work, but still the cash flow is just a lot higher.
So let's take a step back. So your husband was in corporate working for a big bank.
Yes.
And you bought your first, obviously you own your first home.
Yes.
And then you bought an investment property out of state.
We bought 2 out of state in Jacksonville, Florida.
And immediately started the Airbnb process, or did you kind of rent them out and realize?
No,
Too
so
long?
those two Jacksonville properties are still long-term rents.
Okay.
Yes. Then we have another one here in California. It's a condo that we rent here in California, also with a property manager. Those are completely hands-off real estate investments.
Okay, so you just early on in your adventures here in real estate decided we're going to own real estate. Florida was a great spot for you guys to get advantage of the prices and stuff like that. Bought one
Correct.
here in LA. When did the Airbnb light go on?
When people were seeing a bigger cash flow, right? I was cool with 500, 300 a month. And then people were telling me, oh, you can make like 2,000 net profit. And that's when the light bulb switched. And I said, oh, wow, you can really match your income with maybe 2 or 3 Airbnbs. You can match your income and just leave, right? And that's kind of what our goal was for Roger to leave his corporate job because he hated it. And so our first Airbnb property was a cabin in the Great Smoky Mountains. And minimum return there right now for net profit is about 3,200. So unbelievable, right?
So you're saying that it pays its mortgage, taxes, insurance,
expenses,
and puts a positive cash flow in your pocket of about 3,200 a month.
And that's minimum. In the summer, which is like the busiest season, you can probably net 6,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what made you go there? Did you have a history of being there? Did you have family, friends, or did you research that area that Smoky Mountains it is?
Yeah. So it's kind of cliche to say like your network is your net worth, right? But it truly is. Like you have to put yourself out there and just meet people and see kind of where those investors, what markets those investors are. And somebody like put me in the Great Smoky Mountains. I had never heard of it. I knew who Dolly Parton was.
Yeah.
Like I knew who she was. She's a country singer. Her, you know, I know a couple of her songs, but that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this lady had a theme park. Like I just didn't know, right? I'm from LA. Like I don't really fly to the East Coast. And so I started doing market research. I found out that she is wanting to spend like $10 million in the next 10 years there. So clearly there's something going on there in the Great Smoky Mountains that some of her, I'm assuming her financial advisors are telling her, you need to expand your theme park. You need to expand your theme park. And currently it's the #1 destination in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you did a little bit of research to kind of figure that this was a good place to pull the trigger.
Yes. And again, the market was crazy, right? Something goes up for sale and just still now, they go pretty fast. So I bought that property unseen. I bought it through like, well, not really unseen. I did FaceTime with my realtor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we bought it.
That's really cool. So how long have you owned that property?
Since September.
Since September. Okay.
So less than a year. Yeah.
Got you. And then you transitioned your next property.
So once we saw that short-term rental was kind of the thing to do, right? What I did is just become an expert on how to automate the entire thing. Because property management in the Smoky Mountain is 30%. So that's a big chunk of your net profit, right? Big chunk. And so we knew early on that we were going to continue with the buy and hold properties in the Jacksonville areas where the price is you could still buy a house under 150. And the strategy there is buy and hold, right? But we knew early on that we did want to have more short-term rentals. And we just finished going live on our second short-term rental in Arizona, Glendale, Arizona.
Okay.
So we're excited to see what that does for us next year when the football is there, the Super Bowl is there. And that house is about 5 to 10 minutes away from the Cardinal Stadium. So yeah, short-term rentals has been just phenomenal for me and my family. We loved it so much that now we manage 7 other properties for owners who want to be completely hands off.
Gotcha. Now, are you 30%?
30%
to manage those properties? Or?
No. So I think that because I've just invested so much time in learning how to automate the Airbnb business that it doesn't take up a lot of my time, right? Yeah. I do have a virtual assistant in the Philippines who helps me out. I have a great team in the Smoky Mountains where I'm able to manage from 2,000 miles away. I can manage my own property and I can manage 4 other properties that I manage for someone else. And then I manage here locally in the Santa Clarita, city of Santa Clarita. I manage 1 property here. That one does amazing. And then I manage 1 in Big Bear, 1 in Lake Arrowhead. And I'm actually onboarding a new client in Lake Arrowhead this Friday. We're driving up on Friday to check that out.
Wow. Now, jumping back to Glendale, was there some strategy that you had and why you bought in that area? Like what's the idea there? Are you looking for price points nuggets, or is there some like?
Yeah, so we use a short-term rental calculator, and we want to be at 20% minimum ROI, return on investment. 20%, we look at 20%. Location is always hard. It really, I think, depends on your goal, on what your goal is. For us, the goal was to retire Roger. So we needed to go in a location where the returns were higher, right?
Got you.
And then second time around, we wanted to actually use our vacation home because I don't know that we'll go to the Smoky Mountains. Like, I don't think that's like strictly business.
Right.
On top of it being a 7 travel, it's a 7-hour travel time. Like, that's just too long for me. And then the time change is kind of tough. So we're big baseball fans and we love Arizona. Property taxes there are only 0.6%.
Gotcha.
So that's one. Taxes are really low. The entire state passed a bill that cities cannot regulate short-term rentals. So that's another plus. No regulations on short-term rentals. Here in LA, you can only Airbnb your house 120 days out of the year.
Right.
Not in Santa Clarita though.
Interesting.
Santa Clarita doesn't care whether you have Airbnbs or not. You don't even have to tell them. And so those pretty much are the two things that I look at. Really what your goal is. Are you going to want to visit the property? Like what's really your purpose? Taxes and the regulations on short-term rentals.
Got it. So I guess strategy then for you, Arizona made sense mathematically on your calculator.
Yeah.
The state as a whole seemed to embrace that concept. And then when you looked at it also for location for events and sporting events, people are going to go there and stuff like that. So that's kind of how you cinched into something like that. How do most people, would you say like, okay, I called you today and said, hey, I want to get started. Like, what would you kind of guide me to say, Tom, get this and this in order? Or how do most people get started?
I always like to ask people like what your goal is, like so you want to get into real estate, why, right? I always ask why. Do you want to retire someone? Do you want extra cash? That's really the number one, right? Then it's what is your capital, right? Because second home loans right now aren't looking too great.
Yeah.
You may want to do 15-20%. You kind of have to right now in the current market. And so do you have that capital, right? But you can also do short-term rentals in Jacksonville, Florida, where houses are still 200,000. You can, but your cash flow isn't going to be the same, right? It's not going to be 2,000, 3,200. It's just not.
Yeah.
In Arizona, we're seeing a little bit less. We're seeing like 1,800 net profit, which is still really good.
Yeah.
Right. So it really depends like where you're at financially and what you have for capital for down payment and closing costs.
Gotcha. What are startup costs on something like, I guess obviously your down payment, closing costs, things like that. But I'm assuming
so I'll share the calculator with you because I think that people can you can maybe put the link on the video and people can kind of play with the calculator. It's really easy to navigate.
Yeah, drop it in the chat for me there or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe I can share it.
Yes, I'll send it to you. So startup costs, it depends on the market. And the reason why I say this is because the cabin that I got in the cabins, typically because it's a short-term rental city, like maybe 99% of those cabins are short-term rentals. They're like people don't live there, right? So when you buy those, you buy them fully furnished.
Oh, wow.
So the startup costs there are maybe $2,000 because security cameras, a new lock, like you don't have to do much, right?
Got you.
Maybe a few updates, that's it. But Arizona was empty. We furnished it in 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to be super, super organized. And that was about, we like to say 7,000 per bedroom.
7,000 per bedroom.
Yeah.
So bed, nightstands, TVs,
kitchen and living room. If it's a 3-2 and just one living room, just like your average kitchen, you're just going to spend about 25,000.
Wow.
If you have a den or a game room, then you would add maybe another 3,000. Gotcha. But typically you're like at 7,000.
But when you look at a return of like $3,000 a month, I mean, that's going to get your money back in 10 months.
Yes.
Just that investment alone. I mean, not bad. Not bad. Not bad to say, hey, here's 20 grand, 10 months, you're even.
Yeah. Yeah.
In less than a year, you've got all your money back. Okay. So down payment, right now, probably 15-20% down especially the way the second home market is right now and with the loans. And then closing costs, and then obviously to furnish the place somewhere around 20 grand to get going and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's everything and that adds up. Like potato peelers, pasta strainer, like it's everything. It's like if you're moving in.
Yeah, you've got forks and knives and napkins and all that stuff.
Linens, towels, all that stuff.
Now, do you hire an outside maintenance company to come in, like, hey, when they come in, someone comes in and pulls the sheets and does the laundry, makes the beds and do all that stuff?
A cleaner, yeah, who's like your number one person that you have to take care of on your team. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do they get paid? Are they Are they on a salary, or do they get paid?
They get paid every turnover. So every time there's a new guest comes in, the lingo's called turnover, and so every turnover they get paid. Got you. Yeah.
And are there like companies out there that do this for business, or are you just?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Got you. And then I think we talked about, like, is there anything like a must that you must see in a property on an Airbnb? Like, I'm not buying something because of, if I see this is a big red flag. Or so far, or what you could see, like, man.
I think so. I think it depends on the market too. Like Arizona, I needed to have a pool, 100% a pool.
Okay.
I like them to be pretty turnkey.
As far as deferred maintenance, you don't want to have to walk in there and paint and carpet or anything like that.
No, because you want to make money on day one. You want to go in there, furnish it, and start making money. Arizona, all I did was rehab the backyard. The backyard needed a lot of work.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then in this current market, I wanted to make sure that it was a big lot. Corner lot is like kind of my favorites. If I can expand square footage, that's like something that I really want in a property right now. In the cabin, really, it just depends on location. I don't want a steep driveway. Like if it's a steep, that was like the first thing I asked my realtor, how's the driveway? And if she said it was tough getting up here, I don't care if it's the most beautiful driveway. Like guests are just going to complain.
Right.
So that's kind of hard to answer because I think it's just dependent on every market.
I got you.
Yeah.
I know one of the things when we talked about earlier, you mentioned a cost segregation study.
Yeah. So
tell me about that.
So this is going to blow your mind, and please ask your CPA. I'm not like a legal person, right?
Full disclaimer.
Yeah. So you know how we put on our taxes depreciation every year?
Yeah.
For our properties, for our real estate investment. When you're self-managing a short-term rental, and you can, I forgot what the blurbage is, but you participate in the management. You can somehow show that you're participating in the self-management of this Airbnb. You can depreciate 27.5 years in your first year.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to give you like a simple math. I make a little over 6 figures in my W-2.
Okay.
I'm going to cost seg my 2 properties, my 2 short-term rentals, because I haven't done that yet in my taxes, because remember, I just got it in September.
Right.
I'm going to cost segregate those 2 properties in depreciation of 27.5 years together in 1 year. And I'm going to be able to write off my W-2 and get money back.
Wow.
Possibly enough for the down payment of another short-term rental.
Wow. So you're saying,
I know it sounds unreal, but believe me.
I need to write that down.
When we finish this conversation, I want you to Google cost segregation, and you will not believe it, because I was shocked. I was like, wait, so I can write off all the depreciation, which is a lot. You're talking about a lot of money here. So I can write off my W-2. So every year I can buy a short-term rental and write off $80,000. I mean, or whatever your cost segregation study is. And that does cost money. You need to pay. I mean, it ranges from like maybe $500 to $2,500 depending on your property.
Yeah.
But still, you're getting money back from the IRS, right?
Yeah.
But
so real quick, then your goal would be to every year, if you acquire 1 or 2 of these properties, every year you're going to be able to do that cost segregation to your taxes.
Yes.
It's not just one and done and I can't do it ever again. As long as next year I bought another one, I'll be able to do the same thing again and again and again and again.
Yep, that's what rich people do.
God bless it. I love it. I love it. So I guess that leads me to the question of like managing on their own versus hiring an outside team. The benefit to managing on your own is you get this cost segregation advantage because you file that, right?
Right.
Wow. Okay. All right. Something got my head spinning around here, you know?
No, trust me, when I looked at that, I was like, this makes sense. This is why people are buying stuff cash at the end of the year. They need that write-off.
Right.
Yeah.
What I have a note here, like, what is your typical rate of return, or how do you determine profit if that's a good deal? Like you said before, when you first started with your rentals, man, I was making $300 a month. Man, that was good. Is there a certain number formula that you're saying, hey, I need to make X? You might have already answered it, but just kind of talk about it a little bit.
I'll talk about the long-term rent. The long-term rent, I like to be at 1% of the purchase price and the monthly payments are going to be. That's long-term rent.
Okay.
I have a 1% rule. So
how does that work? Let's role play that out on the Florida house. You bought it for
let's say 100,000.
Okay.
Let's say 100,000, and I need to make sure that it's going to rent for at least 1,000. 1%.
Oh, okay. Of the purchase price.
Of the purchase price.
Gotcha.
For short-term rentals, you need to use that calculator. So I'll shoot it over to you when we're done with the call. But you need to put in pretty much your purchase price, your loan information, your average nightly rate, your average nightly occupancy, your taxes, your insurance, pretty much all your expenses. And you need to be at 20% cash on cash return minimum. That's where I like to be. If you're going to use a property a little bit more often, then I would say 15% is okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and there's 2 softwares that I use to look for those average nightly rates and occupancies. One is called AIRBN.
Okay.
So you pay for like a subscription, and it will give you what the average nightly rate for that market is and the average occupancy. And that's where you grab those numbers to input in this calculator that I'm going to send you.
Gotcha.
The other one is called Mashvisor. It does the same thing as the AirDNA one, but it also gives you long-term rent, right? Wow. So if you're looking for a property like myself, I was looking in Arizona. Arizona also has potential of long-term rent. So I wanted to see those numbers also, right? If I don't want to do Airbnb anymore, then what are those numbers at long-term rent? So Mashvisor gives you both short-term rental and long-term rental data, so that you can input in your calculators, or so you can see whether, just have both exit strategies.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Would a condo be a good investment for Airbnb, a condo versus a house? Is there?
It is. A lot of people do condos. You just have to know and have in the back of your head that condos more than likely have an HOA, and they can change those short-term regulations on you fairly quickly, right? You can so you just have to make sure that your HOA is short-term rental friendly. For example, mine isn't. The condo here in California in San Fernando, we wanted to do Airbnb through corporate housing. So corporate housing means people who are having a fire or water damage restoration in their house, or what have you, and the insurance pays for housing, right?
Right.
And my HOA refuses to say that they don't like Airbnb, but instead they put a rule that every time someone moves in and moves out, you have to pay a $400 cleaning fee. Because, when people move out, there's boxes and trash in the garbage disposals. And so could you imagine every time someone moves in my condo, I have to pay $400 to the HOA.
Right.
So you just have to be careful. Also with financing, I know that right now, and I don't know what your what you have come across, but a lot of condos don't accept FHA, right? And so
99% never got, well, if they were FHA certified, they never bothered to get re-FHA certified is the big difference because
right. So a lot of people want to start, clearly the best way to do short-term rental is through a second home loan, right? Because you only come in with 10%, very low interest rate. And then the next one is usually FHA. If someone can get an Airbnb FHA, then why not? You know, because a lot of people
5% down.
A lot of people house hack with condos and Airbnb, meaning that they live there, but the 2 empty rooms that they have, they Airbnb them. People do that,
right?
And so it's a little harder with condos just because of the FHA. And for people who are looking to get started, right? Like, where do I start? Well, if I don't have a lot of money, then maybe I can Airbnb, you know, a condo with my FHA right when I start.
Gotcha.
But so that's the tough one on condos.
Now, do you, just something off a little topic here, Airbnb versus VBRO, or are you on both platforms? Does it matter? One rent better than the other?
Airbnb is cheaper.
Okay.
Or less expensive. It's 3%. It's 3%.
Okay.
The RBO is 8%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Again, I hate to say it, but it's true. It depends on the market. Arizona is strictly Airbnb. In the cabins, you need both.
Okay.
You need both VRBO and Airbnb. And you need a software to link those two calendars so you don't double book.
Got you.
Yeah, so it just depends. But to me, I think Airbnb is like the Uber of transportation.
Yeah.
Like there's Lyft, but
Lyft came in second, and VBRO or whatever. They're
right.
They're the Lyft of that industry.
Right. So yeah, that's just kind of where that's going.
Gotcha. What about obstacles? What have you seen, like, or have you seen any? Like, what would be buyer beware or investor beware type of conversation?
It's a lot of work starting up. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not easy to self-manage because you're having to not only look for a location and run your numbers that it's going to work, but you're going to have to furnish the entire place. You're going to have to find your team, right? Your cleaner, your handyman. What if a pipe bursts? What if the kitchen sink is leaking? Like, you're going to get phone calls at 9 p.m. on a Friday night during happy hour. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen when you self-manage. But, you know, if you learn kind of how to automate the system, then I think it can be a pretty awesome investment. Hospitality has to be kind of your thing, right? There is times where I just want to like, but you can't. Like,
stop texting me. Yeah.
The guest is always right, and you just have to be very, very strategic on how you answer certain special guests.
So I guess think about it. You've got to keep utilities on. You've got to have some type of Wi-Fi there or cable for them there.
Yeah, cable I don't do just because I think a lot of us are have streaming services, right? So. Yeah. I don't offer, I just offer a pretty high, like an ultra spectrum Wi-Fi account. It's like not the basic, but second to best spectrum Wi-Fi. Okay. And a smart TV so they can stream into their own accounts.
Gotcha.
Utilities for sure, cleaning services like Arizona, I have a pool man who goes and cleans it weekly. And that's all automated too. He gets a text message whenever he should go. Yeah, it's
all right. How about worst experience? Nightmare.
I had 6 ladies check into the cabin for a ladies weekend and pretty much partied way too hard in my cabin and destroyed a kitchen cabinet. I don't even know how. Like I have to this day, I'm like, what the heck were they doing? Threw up everywhere. Like everywhere. Like where I'm like, I mean, I was young at one point, but I'd make it to the bathroom. It was just everywhere. Like my comforters got damaged. Like they even tried to clean them and all they did was make it worse. Like
Yeah.
the washer and dryer that I have in the cabin, they're small. It's for clothes. It's not for a king comforter, like a king, you know? And so what else did they do that day? I don't know, but I think it was like $2,800 in cost. And so one of the reasons why I like Airbnb is because they cover you up to $1 million of damage.
The Airbnb company itself.
Mm-hmm. VRBO does not have that coverage. VRBO does this thing where you can put a deposit, whatever deposit you want. And, you know, if they damage it, then you keep the deposit. But Airbnb will cover you up to $1 million. And I submitted a claim with pictures that my cleaner sent me. And then what they do is that they send it to the guest first. She's like, I don't have that kind of money. I will only pay half. And so she paid half, and then Airbnb paid the rest.
Wow.
Yeah. But there is times where a guest will say, no, like I'm not paying it. And then Airbnb will pay it. You just have to submit the claim.
Gotcha.
And the claims can be for anything, really. It can be for extra cleaning services. If somebody was smoking in your property and you have a rule that, you know, do not smoke.
Right.
You can submit a claim for pretty much anything. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
All right. So I guess kind of wrapping things up here, we kind of talked about price points. I guess it all depends on this calculator to see, you know, how it pens into the rent value, right? Location, again, really kind of depends on where you want to be, if you plan on being there, right? I think when we kind of talked with your husband a little bit, you know, I think he mentioned to me like Arizona, the colleges are around there, the baseball stadiums around there. I guess looking at picking areas that are going to be highly trafficked. I mean, you know, maybe picking something out in like LA, going to Palmdale, probably not going to Airbnb very well.
No, well, you'd be surprised. We're starting a Palmdale house right now. It's getting rehabbed. Really? The owner's rehabbing it, and he's going to rehab it. He's going to furnish it. And our strategy there is midterm rental. Midterm rental is usually done to nurses. Nurses, medical professionals who do minimum of 13-week assignments. And it's pretty heavy in the Palmdale area right now.
Got you. I bet you that makes sense because a lot of these nurses travel. I met a lot of nurses that they're bouncing to Vegas, they're bouncing to Arizona, they're jumping up to Colorado. So something where they can have a good central base to hang their hat for a little bit makes sense.
And that platform is called Furnished Finders.
Furnished Finders.
Yes, Furnished Finders. They're strictly a medical professional Airbnb, as you say. It's their own. It's a different platform, and you can even call them and say, "Hey, I have a house in Tarzana. I have an extra room. Can you guys tell me kind of what the inquiries are, or what interest are you getting in that area?" And they'll tell you. Yeah, I have this physical therapist looking for 90 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Any closing thoughts that you have to say, hey, big takeaway or something that you think that the viewer should know about Airbnb?
I mean, I think that if your goal is to get into real estate, whether it's long-term rent or short-term rent, do it. Just invest in real estate because it's the safest investment that we've seen. We're in our mid-30s, Roger and I think that we were always kind of pushed away from real estate from our parents and just other family members who just don't understand it. And now that we understand it, the only advice that I can give myself, 10 years ago, was that I should have started a lot sooner. Investing, whether it's long-term or short-term rental. For short-term rental, you have a tenant who's going to pay for your vacation home. Like, how cool is that? You can go and visit. Like, we love baseball, so we can go. We were just there for Easter. Didn't pay for lodging. It's a beautiful house. And we didn't pay. We didn't pay for to stay there. Yeah. Our tenants paid for it, and that's beautiful. And to me, when they explained the cost segregation study that I can write off my entire income, I was just like, yeah. Wait, can you say that? I'm not even kidding you. The CPA must have told me like 4 times. I was like, wait. So this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And the IRS is going to give me back money, because instead of doing depreciation, every year for 27 years, I'm going to do it all at once this year. And he's like, yeah. And I'm not even kidding you, Tom. I still kind of like, I'm not going to believe it till it happens.
So you see the tax returns.
Right. And I'll show you. Okay. I'm like, I'm telling everybody about this, and my mentors do it. They've done it before, and so they've showed me their tax returns, and it's just amazing. I have other friends who have done it too, and that's really just an awesome benefit.
We are in the first week of May of 2022. Interest rates have went from 3.125 to like 5.125. And it's interesting you're saying buy real estate when a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines. Do you see this bump in interest rates or shift, from your perspective in real estate? What do you see? Anything going on with our market?
I mean, no, nobody knows what's going to happen, really. Do I see the purchase price going down a little bit, maybe 15%? I don't think it's going to be a big difference. I just do think that people are going to buy at the purchase price, at the asking purchase price. Yeah. Because things were selling like 50, 80 over asking. So I think that's going to level a little bit, because I think that there isn't going to be that much competition. But I think that people should be more strategic about when they buy houses, right? Can you add that square footage? Does it have that potential to do that? Does it have potential to add equity? I would have that in mind right now when I'm buying stuff.
But this bump in rates and stuff like that isn't keeping you from looking at inventory right now at all?
No.
You saw a good deal. And I'm glad you said that, because, one of the things when I coach and mentor a lot of agents and even a lot of my clients is really, when you look at it, it's the mortgage payment. If you can afford $2,500 and today that's $700 and yesterday it was $750, the payment's not going to change. It's just the price of what you paid for. It's changing, but you're still paying this amount, and you're going to Airbnb it for X. So I think from your standpoint, it doesn't matter what I'm paying for it, as long as my return is coming in that meets your blueprint or something.
Yeah. And here in LA, rent is still more expensive than mortgage.
Yeah.
Like, people don't see that, or people don't know that, right? Yeah. I mean, rent is just crazy.
I know, right? Good. Well, Diana, how could people get a hold of you? So obviously you have a service now that you will manage people's Airbnbs for them, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And how would people get a hold of you?
So you guys can reach me on Instagram. My name on Instagram is STR for the win. So short-term rental for the win. I'll tell you the story of how that name came about. Really quickly.
Yeah, I love it.
We were looking at our monthly statements, Roger and I. We have the long-term rentals, and we have the Airbnbs, and every month we would say STR for the win, STR for the win, and I just changed my Instagram to STR for the win.
I love it.
Yeah, so I also teach a class every Thursday at 6 p.m. It's an ongoing conversation of Airbnb, just ongoing conversation. We have members who have a few Airbnbs, and we have people who are completely new. I think it's a great class to kind of just see if Airbnb's even for you, because you get to see the ins and outs. Because having a vacation home and the net profit sounds sexy to a lot of people, but it's a lot of work.
Okay.
Right? It's a lot of work. And like I said, you're going to be at happy hour getting those messages, and you're going to have to answer, and you're going to have to deal with it. It might not be for everyone.
Yeah. But financially, you look at it, and it's got your husband out of corporate America. It's giving him the freedom to go out and do things. I think before this call, you said he had to run out to get a COVID test or something like that for the kid, which he probably would have never been able to do had it not been for this.
Oh, no. He was at the studio office, and he was able to leave. There was no way. There was no way he would have been able to do that. Yeah. And I don't even know what they would have done to my son. I mean, I don't know. He would have probably stayed at the nurse's office the entire day.
I love it.
But yeah, financial independence is kind of the goal here. And
I mean, look, if it was really easy, everybody would be doing it. You know, if success was easy, everybody would have it. If fitness was easy, everybody would be fit. You know,
right?
It's just that kind of thing. You put in what you get what you put into it. So,
right.
But hey, I think we're rounding about an hour or 45 minutes right now. I think this was an amazing topic, and to share your knowledge and stuff was absolutely amazing. And I know our viewers and everybody are going to love it. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you
for having me.
And anybody who's watching, they need to get on a Zoom call with her for class. She's got it. They need to hire her. Here she is. And Diana, I wish you many more blessings. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that was my interview with Diana. I know there was a lot of good stuff in there. I will put her information down below as well so that you can reach out to her, and any links that she talked about, I'll make sure that I get them down below. Also, down below is a Calendly link. If you're interested in getting some more information or want to book a 30-minute, 45-minute appointment with one of us or my team members, make sure you hit that button and let's connect. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you in the next video.